2022 is thankfully behind us. 2023 is opening up in January with a couple huge games. Let's discuss which one of these are the biggest and brightest to you. Throw them in the comments. If you like the video, maybe subscribe. First up, but not first down, is of course Piece Odyssey, January 13th. This game series has like 50 separate game versions across a lifespan as long as most gamers have been gaming. Bandai Namco's coming into January with a massive RPG. It's got 4 versus everybody enemy battle system. Piece Odyssey adds a new twist into the game's battles with optional objectives for some characters in each battle that rewards them and offers a reason why your level 40 characters might kick the ever-living crap out of a bunch of level 2 enemies. The game also splits up the team members during combat so that each character gets their piece of the action, and if they defeat an enemy early, they can leap into the other group versus everybody fighting the same old bad guy. If this pays off in the long run has yet to be seen. It's not the only unique idea that the developer has chosen to go with in this game. The game's got an almost rock, paper, scissors kind of feel to it with your moves related to attributes, with each turning over onto its back and playing dead for the next attribute in line, balancing speed against power or power against technique, and then adding in special moves for every single character. Listen, One Piece isn't going to set the world on fire. If you aren't an anime fan, this might not be for you, but they're trying their hardest to make the battle system and the RPG elements as unique as possible and interesting to pull in both old and new fans. Make no mistake though, this is a JRPG through and through, and the game's environments pop up text scenes and odd sound moments and weird characters. Don't shy away from any trope that you've ever been accustomed to with these kind of games. Next up is a game trying to do a little bit different, a little bit the same, and that's Forspoken, January 24th. This might be one of the most talked about, but still not quite sure what it is kind of game I've ever seen in years. Even after a demo, there was a lot of confusion. It could be the consistently prattling Magic Fair bracelet the main character wears, or the insanely hard to parse fake modern speak that the characters spout all the while. It's a little bit like a 40-year-old writing a Vampire Diaries episode. But no one can diminish the game's ability to just say, you know what? I love particles, so here's all them fuckers at once. A recent demo threw players into this third-person action-adventure battler game with tons of magic abilities and just said, go to town. Busy, yes. Crazy, yes. Hard to parse, for sure, but instantly showing something that's unique. Forspoken from Luminous Productions is trying to do something. It's just not always easy to see what it is. But I'm a huge fan of that modern and magic, mixing in a crazy world that the trailers and demos have shown caught a lot of attention, including mine. The game's combat in the demo was fast, it was crazy, it was over the top, and just exactly what I would want from a mid-game moment in my Magic Missile Mayhem style of game. The world looks awesome, the magic hits hard, and while it can be difficult to parse, I'm pretty sure the middle section of the demo's over-the-top powers come at a slower pace in the normal game, making them appear more organic than they did in that vertical slice. This one is probably the one game in January that has the best chance to really start off 2023 with a huge bang, or leave everyone wondering what's coming next within like a week. And something that's going to take you a lot longer than a week to finish is Persona 3 and Persona 4 Golden on January 19th. Atlus's quirky, deep, socially driven, demon-filled games from an era of the PlayStation 2 and PSP are seeing new versions in January. No release of a Persona game can be ignored. Even if you aren't a huge fan, it's hard to ignore the something big is happening right now craze that occurs with these fans. Persona games' art style and quirky gameplay let them succeed on a number of devices, really regardless of the power form. From all the way back in the day on the PSP, now to the next-gen consoles and on Game Pass. Their art style, their entire look, their low-level requirements for performance and high school antics. The idea that both of these are hitting the same day is crazy, even if you aren't a Persona fan. Persona 4 Golden, of course, also adds new social links as well as events into this title, giving it more of a story, more characters, and more core gameplay. Both are team-based demon-fighting high school simulators, which isn't surprising. But these two originally hitting at the same time on the same day, that is surprising. What's not surprising are remakes, but sometimes the game and the company do them can be a little bit shocking. Dead Space, January 17th, from Motive Studios. So Dead Space is a classic game, perfectly thought out enemy placement, excellent puzzle design, tremendous gameplay chops. It filtered out a story of futuristic horror where almost every single hour was as tense as the first one. The remake is making some hefty changes to almost all of those sections, and Motive has their hands full, but they seem pretty confident in the adjustments for this title. Some of the adjustments sound amazing, like being able to move around the entire ship freely, no specific locations cut off from others, a number of new side quests and information bits to keep players moving around the world, learning more about what happened before their arrival, and also unlocking new stories about the crewmen aboard the derelict craft that you have actually come to investigate. This also includes new puzzles as well, so that prior players don't just breeze through it. Of more questionable addition, though, is the Spawn Director. This sees combat and events and chooses how, on its own, to attack you. The number of games with successful, truly successful, one-person directors for combat is insanely low, and most fit a very specific enemy type, like Alien in the Alien Isolation game, and its two-brain AI that works so well. Honestly, whenever anyone says combat director in a game, I get the idea of a homicidal DM rushing characters through a poorly designed after-shift McDonald's dungeon. Changing one thing can change everything. If you don't believe me, replace every James Bond hot tango with line dancing and tell me it's the same movie. This is the biggest part to me that has actually got me pretty nervous about how it will feel. Spawn directors have a stated reason for being, and it's to surprise veteran players, but it will also be open to interpretation from new players if it changes up and really rewards them or removes the amazing pacing of that original game, something it is known for since day one. For a more randomized sort of, hi, surprised you kind of game that many AI Spawn systems seems to deliver because they just figure, oh, he's bored because somebody hasn't attacked him in 3 seconds. This is a title I'm incredibly excited to check out, but still a little worried about, especially with some of those larger changes. When you remake a horror game, you really do have to look at it as a very particular type of game. In fact, many times more particular than a lot of others. But next up, we've got SpongeBob SquarePants, The Cosmic Shake. This is on January 31st. And maybe January is saving the best for last. We'll see. It comes out on the 31st. It's a platformer to be added to that large stable of platformers already exploring SpongeBob SquarePants' crazy-ass world. However, I love the look of this game. Something about that looks better than the past title. The designs from Purple Lamp Studios look more refined than they did in Rehydrated, and there might be a reason for that. Holistically, the game is technically a spiritual successor. That hasn't stopped the developer, though, from throwing in ideas for new gameplay elements, traversal, and of course, hopping around puzzles like nobody's business. The big change here, though, is that Cosmic Shake lets the player only play as SpongeBob, where the original had 3 characters. This was done to dive deeper into control and gameplay mechanics for one particular platforming character, and deepen the gameplay elements for just one. In platforming, this many times actually works out for the better with the control tighter, the puzzles and activities more focused. Damn, this game looks like it might have actually seen some improvement because of that one specific switch. It just looks tighter. I'm a big fan of those eclectic platformers. That's one to look out for. And the last one to look out for that blows me away, it's taken this long, but we finally got it, that's Monster Hunter Rise, January 24th on PlayStation and Xbox. I liked Rise. For many, it was a dividing line, I think, between a real Monster Hunter game and almost a Monster Hunter-like kind of title that feels like it's its own thing, and was probably thought that way because it was originally a Switch exclusive. Now it's coming to literally everything, and I gotta say, if you haven't checked it out, you should. Rise and its expansion were excellent, sold insanely well. I'm a big Monster Hunter fan, well, depending on the title, and I certainly was of this one. You can see my review of the game in the links in the description if you want to check out what I thought of Rise. I cannot wait for this game to hit. So those are pretty much the big games in January. We got a lot of games that have come and gone out of January. These are the ones that we know, at least so far, are for sure there. They haven't been delayed. That could change as we roll into the very first days of 2023. I hope they aren't. If you like this, give it a thumbs up. If you dislike it, give it a thumbs down. Make sure to subscribe. Check out the channel. All the videos, you'll see new AI reviews from me, as well as check out the Patreon. It helps big time in the age of demonetization. Peace out. I hope you have an awesome time.